Just Eff It. Hi, I'm Romy.
Hi, and I'm Carla.
And together we are the EFFing
Madres.
Madres. We are here to invite you guys into stories of some inspiring Madres
who have changed their lives through an Eff It moment. So here we go. Just Eff It.
Hey guys, happy Monday.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Happy Monday.
Madre
Monday, Motivation Monday.
There we go.
I'm trying to get good about those.
Yeah, those are our good hashtags. Tell the wonderful listeners why they are listening to us, Carla, what they will get from this amazing Madre podcast.
Well, first of all, we're awesome. Aside from that. Never, not really.
Yeah.
Aside from that, this is a community of moms supporting moms, madres supporting madres through their Eff It moment. So it's either you've had it, or you're going through it, or you want to have it and you're like in the midst of it. It's basically just supporting moms through this moment. Hopefully this community that we're trying to build here has like inspiration and motivation for any moms that are listening that are like, you know what, I'm there. I feel like I'm there. I'm listening to this person. She's just like me. She did it. I'm gonna fucking do it. So fuck it. I'm gonna do it. So that's what we hope that we do, create something motivational, inspirational for moms out there.
Well said. Well said. So just a bunch of moms saying Eff It, inspiring other moms to say Eff It. Who is our madre today?
So the madre today, her name is Felicia. She sent me an email sharing her Eff It moment very briefly with me. But in a nutshell, basically, she left her marriage of 20 years due to her husband not valuing her and seeing her work as a mom. Like she just didn't feel like there was equality in the relationship. And so she left and she founded a tech company dedicated to helping couples achieve household equality.
Fuck yes.
Yeah. And it's called 10 Tasks.
So she did not have it at her house and she created a company to then help others get it.
Yeah.
Love it.
So like she took matters into her own hands and she fucking created something so that women don't have to feel that inequality in their household.
I'm
very curious to hear how technology has to do with that.
Yes.
So I'm really curious to hear
Yeah.
what it's all about. But we're going to bring her in just a second. All right, we've got Felicia Kashavirov. Did I say it right?
You did. Great job.
I did.
Well done.
All right. All right. I swear I have like the memory of a gnat, so glad I got it. All right. So we met off Hey Mama, which is another shout out to Hey Mama.
We're giving Hey Mama a lot of shout outs here.
We really are.
They deserve it.
They do. We briefly brought people up to speed in regards to your Eff It moment, but we're just going to jump into our questions and let you take it away.
Sounds great.
So when did you decide to just Eff It and why?
That's a great question. So I think my Eff It moment was cumulative over time. Like it took me time to get to the point where I was able to just like walk out the door and, make the decision to end my marriage and start my business. It was a long time coming, but ultimately I ended my marriage 3 years ago and started my business just before that. So that business actually like helped me to kind of gather the strength and the courage to do what I needed to do.
What ultimately did make you just like get to that point?
It was really the acknowledgement and recognition that my partner was never going to see the work that I did. He was never going to give it the value and the credit it deserved in the success of our family and the success of the raising of our children, even in the success of like his career. He just couldn't wrap his mind around it, and he couldn't, make space for my hopes and dreams and aspirations because his were ultimately more important. And so that's what really pushed me.
So I understand. And so anyone listening as well. So both of you guys had your personal careers, right? You both were working partners in your marriage?
We were working partners when we first met in the first few years of our marriage. And then I left shortly after we had our first baby to stay at home because my ex-husband is an entrepreneur, and he was extraordinarily dedicated to the success of his career and his business. And it just wasn't possible for me to have the career I wanted to have, to be the kind of, leader that I aspired to be, and for him to work the hours he was working. He was traveling all the time. We had, young children. It was too much.
I totally understand that. I was my ex-husband was a chef, and so I stayed home, and those hours are crazy, so I chose to stay home and do the first years, in order to have the family kind of run the way it needed to run. So I get that.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know, when it came to that, like having to decide to stay home, was that essentially just you being forced into making that decision because he was just not going to budge? Like he was just like, well, I've got to do this. And so you kind of felt like strong armed into having to stay home, or?
I think that was a combination of factors. I think I had a vision of what kind of parent I wanted to be, and how we wanted to raise our children. And so I knew that, the kind of parent I wanted to be required a lot of time and energy, and I wasn't going to get the support that I needed, to be able to, work outside of the home. I was really young, and I think I wasn't great at communicating my wants, and my partner definitely wasn't good at communicating his expectations. Like what we wanted to do as a couple. He was very clear about what he wanted to achieve, but he wasn't clear. We weren't clear together on what our joint goals were.
Yes.
And I think that's something that I've really realized over time as I've started, as I've been talking to like hundreds of other women and couples, is that that's so critical. Those conversations are so
Yes.
critical, and they're really hard to have. They're really hard
Yeah.
I
to
feel
have.
like if we don't have them at the beginning, which I'm learning, I've had a few marriages under my belt, but if we don't have those conversations in the beginning, they're going to find their way in your marriage, and they're going to come out in some area, because it's just so important that you both have the same vision together, because someone's going to feel ultimately like they're missing. Yeah.
It's critical. It absolutely must happen. And, some couples have the modeling from, good relationships that maybe their parents had, or other, important adults in their family had, but a lot of us didn't have that. A lot of us didn't have the modeling
Yeah.
to talk about tough issues without getting defensive and resentful.
I think too, some of us, like you said, though, that don't have kind of the guidance or come from families or relationships that we've learned those things from, we're just learning them on our own as we go,
Exactly. Exactly. And it's such a pervasive issue. I mean, I am not the only one who's been in this situation. This is a really, really common story that plays out, whether it ends a marriage or not. It often does,
Yes.
but it's not always.
Mhm.
It's a really common situation, and there's a lot of like underlying biases. There's a lot of expectations around, like, gender and who does what, and what a good mom looks like and what a good dad looks
Yes.
like. And it's really
Yes.
like a systemic problem, but we're all trying to
Yes.
figure it out
Yes.
on our own. And that's really
Yes.
like what prompted me to try to create solutions that helped people or help couples really navigate, and not, kind of face what I faced and what my partner faced.
Well, that would be like the next question, which I think is important. Is I feel like you're getting into that, which is like, after you had this effort moment, what did you do about it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it started with lots of conversations with my co-founder is also my best friend, and we had, kind of similar experiences in our marriages and in parenting, and so we had a lot of conversations about, re-entering the workforce. What does that look like? How do we leverage the experience that we had as stay-at-home moms, which is relevant, important experience for the workforce?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And so we started talking about like, how do we create solutions? So I have a social sciences background, and, kind of the researcher in me came out, like, what can we do to, to learn more about what works and what doesn't, and what are the underlying issues. And so we started by building an invisible labor tracker, because what we really, our theory was that so much of the work that we do as moms is unseen and therefore undervalued. And the reality is that if you have to pay somebody else to do it, it's work, right? If you have to pay somebody else to take care of your kids or clean your house or do your laundry, any of the things, cook your food, all of it.
It's not a cheap job either.
It's not. It's not.
No.
There's a lot of research that shows that it's in the 6+ figures in terms of what you would earn doing this kind of work. And so
Yes.
we wanted to empower women to see that invisible labor and thus start the conversation with their partners. And so that's where we started on our journey, building our business.
Oh my God, you're such a badass. I love it. I love that you were like, I'm going to put this down on paper. I'm going to show you guys what this looks like.
Right. Yeah.
So if I'm coming to you for your services, what exactly does it entail?
Yeah. So, let's take a little bit of a rewind. So we did the invisible labor tracker, and that gave women a lot of really interesting information. We had a lot of interest, a lot of downloads of the app. But what women really told us that they needed was for their partners to participate in the work. They didn't want them to just acknowledge it. They wanted them to participate more.
Yes.
And so that led us to a kind of a pivot in the model of our business. So we reworked the app to be more of a task and management and household management tool, where partners can share custom lists and tasks with one another. And then on top of that, we realized that it's really hard to do this on your own. So we added in coaching services. So we both became trained as evidence-based coaches. And so now we offer supplementary coaching services where the app is free. Anyone can use it. It's super helpful. But if you need a little boost, we're there to help support you on this journey.
Wow.
I love it.
So then if like a mom downloads the app, the husband is also downloading the app, and they have like some sort of joint like tasks that they share. Is that how that works?
That's right. So they build a team. And then they create kind of the system that works best for them. One thing that we found is that there are a lot of people doing really good work in this space, and there are other good, household organization apps, shared calendars, those kinds of things. But what we've found is that it often becomes another thing for the primary parent, often mom, to do. So mom becomes the one who enters all the tasks into the app and then delegates them out. And that creates a manager-employee relationship. That is not what you want in a healthy partnership.
Also resentment, which is what
Yeah.
is the issue, I feel like, before you even get on an app.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you download the app because you're already irritated that you're doing too much.
Yeah.
And you want your partner to share it. And then it's just another thing for you to do. So we recognize that. So what we've tried to do is incorporate more communication tools and, the ability to talk about how certain tasks make you feel, where you feel like maybe you aren't as good at something as you might like to be. I think a lot of men haven't had that modeling on what's required to run a household successfully. And there's some shame and discomfort in acknowledging that they don't know how to do everything. So we really want to not just share tasks. So we say not just shared calendars, but shared meaning. So we really want you to create as a couple shared meaning. And that kind of thing that I talked about at the beginning that led to my EFFing moment, which was, there's no, you have to create your goals as a family, your goals as a partnership beyond your individual goals. And that's what we're really seeking to do, is create those goals and then build a life around it that makes sense and works for you both uniquely, because there's no one right solution. There's no one right answer for any
This is
family.
such an amazing concept, and because I have been in relationships and married and divorced, and I'm open about it, it hits my heartstrings, because it really is so challenging as a new mother. Sometimes as the parent that does decide to stay home, I stayed home for the same reasons, but also the communication between your family with getting everything done so there isn't resentment, so that you don't lead to a place of like divorce, or just anger or resentment, because nobody has the tools maybe from our childhood, or are the people that taught us, and to communicate what it looks like to work as like a team in your home. And like you said, as far as like
Yeah.
business skills, there's so many business skills that come into running the whole program, the show that's happening right here. The most important part of your business, your life, is your home, your marriage, and your parenting, and how it runs, and to create tools and coaching and support for that. I think that's amazing. Like, such a cool thing to do. And you explaining the app, like, as a family, going to it, downloading it, finding those tools together, and then offering, like what you said, kind of side coaching, right, to push it a little
That's
further.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
I love
couples
it.
coaching, or just like anybody who's interested in
Yeah,
doing
I
it?
mean, ultimately, it's most successful if you're working together as a partnership and as a team, as a unit. So we highly recommend couples coaching. And the other important element is to we approach it from a solution focused, non judgmental place. So there's a lot of like justified anger. Romy, you were saying that like it's heartbreaking to be in that
It is.
situation, right?
It is.
Um, but when you come into a disagreement or a conflict with anger, resentment, bitterness, you're just that much less likely to find solutions.
Yeah.
So we really want both partners to feel embraced and safe, and acknowledge that there's a lot of dynamics that lead men to not participate in the way they'd like to participate. In fact, there's a lot of research that shows that men really want to be equal partners in a relationship. They just don't know how to do it.
I was just going to ask, what is the research on like the men that are the male partners that are a part of these apps? Are you able to see like a success rate of them on your, like, are you able to track that, or is it just like general research?
We just launched, so we have, more research to do on that, and we're very hopeful. I mean, I think that's the beauty of the coaching program, is it allows us to work one-on-one with the people that we're trying to serve, and that will give us the tools to create a better technology solution. So ultimately, it is challenging to bring men into the conversation, but we're really committed to providing a space that allows for that.
Right. Wow, that's so impressive. So you're saying it just launched. So then how
Mhm.
long has it been out?
So we launched the coaching program and the new version of the app at the end of August. So we're just starting to work with clients. The app is, I don't know if you have any experience with developing tech tools, but it's like raising children. It's like never ending, and everything takes longer than you expect it to take. But we're we're working on incorporating the features that we see are relevant to our clients into the tech.
Wow. And so with all of this that you're doing at this moment, with it just launching, but also, from 3 years ago having ended your marriage, how is all of this making you feel? Where are you as far as like emotions and mental state? Like, are you feeling more empowered, or what? I'm just curious.
That's such a great question. I'm feeling great. I mean, right now I am I'm so excited and ambitious and hopeful, and I just can't wait to dig in and help people solve this really like entrenched problem in their relationships. It took me a long time to get here. It was, it's been a journey. It was a lot of therapy, a lot of tears, a lot of questioning, really um, figuring out who I am, what my skills are, and how I can be helpful in the world, how I can affect change. But I'm in a really good place right now, and really excited about this product that we've launched.
It's become a really kind of common thing in the women that we've recently interviewed, right, Carla? In the sense of that, like, women really want to
Yeah.
help right now other women or families or like empower one another. And so
Yes.
it's such a good feeling when
Yeah.
we figure out how we can do that and then we just effing do it. And then,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, you're excited. Like, we're excited doing this podcast. It's just like I can relate so much to that feeling because we're also brand new at this, but like once you decide it and you
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
do it and then you're in the motion and watching how it like helps, it's so fucking empowering. It feels so good.
Yeah, and it's so needed right now. I think
It
the
is.
pandemic was something that really kind of just, I mean, not for everyone, but like I think especially for moms, if any moms were just like, for example, for me that I had my baby during the pandemic and just like kind of be thrown into motherhood during all of that, like the loss of sense of self and like all that sort
Yes.
of stuff, like having a community of other women to help like push you up and provide you tools and all of that is just so I feel like it's so needed right now. So what you're doing is incredible.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you so much. I think one element of this that's been really interesting and exciting is the coaching element. I think that that's something that a lot of um, quote unquote professionals are afforded through their workplace environments, or they feel like it's a something that they can justify, a cost that they can justify. I would love to see it become more accessible, and I would love to see women, especially moms, benefit from the value of really having a partner to walk through their personal development journey. It's so powerful and so meaningful. So I just think that like ties into this sense of like, especially becoming a new mom, like, Carla, that loss of sense of self and that identity shift is, I mean, I'm getting like a visceral reaction to my own memories. And that was like over 20 years ago, the first time that I became a mom. It is so, so deeply challenging and just rocks your world. And, anything you can do to support yourself and your community through that, we really need to embrace.
Yeah. And I feel like it's not really talked about. Like you're told like all the things to expect once you have your child, but like that specific thing to us as becoming new moms, like to realize that you're like shedding this old self. I mean, like, yes, I guess it's like to be assumed that that would happen, but like I kind of wish someone would have like prepped me a little bit more and been like, you're probably going to feel really lost, but that's okay. It happens to all of us. Maybe I wouldn't have felt so lost had I known that that was more of a common feeling amongst moms. You know what I mean? I came to find that out later.
Yeah, it's
So,
normal. It's really
I think
normal.
there's a lot of shame around women claiming, I feel like, or stating that we feel like we've lost parts of ourselves or that we need parts of that back when we become mothers, because we're supposed to just be in love with being moms, which we are, and in love with taking care of our families, which we do. But it's okay to be like, I need me again, and I need the tools to do it
Yeah.
all, and also find myself through this journey. Because like Carla and I have talked about, it's like we become new people after parenthood, after motherhood. It's we're figuring out who we are now. And so I just love that there's a community and that more women and moms are finding apps and podcasts or whatever it may be, or coaching to really help women through this.
Yeah. And those two, you can hold two seemingly disparate ideas at the same time, they can both be true. You can love being a mom. You can love, your children and also grieve the loss of who you were before. Those things
Yes,
can
thank
exist
you
in
for
the
saying
same
that.
space.
Yes.
And like you
Yes.
said, we have to talk more about that. We have to
Yes.
allow ourselves the grief and, recognize that yeah, the kids are great and they're fun and they're also really fucking hard. Like it's really
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
For the people in the back, please.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is. Thank you for saying that, because I'm sure
I
there's going to be
know.
some moms listening to this and being like, yes, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
They're gonna just be like dropping the
Oh,
kids off and
man.
being like, fuck, a moment to myself, a minute to have space
Yeah.
alone for 5 seconds, to yourself. There's nothing better sometimes,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I really appreciate you saying that. So I'm curious, what did it do for you and your family by having this effort moment and going after this?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it was really scary. The scariest part for me was telling my kids. I was
Yeah.
really afraid to do that. But ultimately, I'm setting an example for them of what I deserve and to live a life of authenticity and joy and accomplishment. And I deserve that just as much as their dad does. And they see that. I have 2 daughters and a son, and it's so important for them to see. And I think it's been incredibly healthy. And I think it's also given my kids a space to get to know me, to start to get to know that woman who existed before they came along, because they're older now. And so that is the beauty of when your kids start to become adults, is that you can relate to them on a new level and you can be your authentic self. And you're still a parent, and you still guide them and you still walk them through life. But it is such a relief to be myself with them and to not be, um, you know, stunted in who I felt like I could be. I didn't want to create a household full of conflict. So I ended up just biting my tongue and swallowing my unhappiness a lot. And that's
Mhm.
unsustainable. It's just unsustainable.
Yeah.
I wish that
That is.
people listening could see the amount of head shaking that Carla and I are doing, because everything you're saying,
Yeah.
our heads are like bouncing, and I'm like, people can't hear,
Yes.
you can't see this on the podcast, but Carla and I are just like, yes, 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 yes.
Yes. No, I was gonna say my head is going to fall
Yeah,
off
it
from
just
how much I am nodding in agreement with everything that you are saying.
I was watching us, yeah.
Yeah.
Now that your kids are adults, how do they say they see you? Have you had that conversation?
Yeah. My kids are so awesome. They're really cool people. And they're so proud of me, and they say it all the time. They're proud. They're excited to talk about, what I'm doing, and they see the impact of it. And yeah, it's really, really great. I think so. I have a 22-year-old, a 20-year-old, and then a 16-year-old. So I still have, one in high school. And they I think a lot of people are afraid of the teenage years, and don't get me wrong, it is hard. It's just like every part of parenting, but I love having older kids. I love, getting to know them in the same way they're getting to know me. They're becoming their adult selves, and it's so exciting to see, and it's so gratifying to get to know them on that level. So we're really, really close. It's awesome.
Oh, that's so great to hear. I mean, honestly, that's the only reason why I had a kid, because the baby part of it was never ever enticing to me. I mean, she's super cute and I love her, obviously, but I would always see families out where the parents were older and the kids were older and they were out having dinner and they were just having this, casual conversation, and I always was like, I want that. I want to be able to have that sort of relationship with, if I don't have a kid, I'm not going to have that. So I guess I'm going to have to do
Yeah.
it. You know what I mean? So I'm excited to hear that, because I would look forward to getting to know my daughter and who she becomes, and her get to know who I am. and who I become, because we're ever
It's so
evolving.
great.
We're not going to be the
It's so
same
great.
mom.
Yeah, it's so
Yeah, we're not going to be the
fun.
same version of moms.
It's so fun. I mean, my daughter is 6 now, and we're just getting to that stage where we're able to get to know
Mm,
personalities, like I'm able to get to know her little
yeah.
personality and who she's becoming, and she's able to get to know me. We're just hitting that. We're not in the teenage years yet, but we're establishing. But also, since I left, or since her dad and I got divorced, I've been able to take on like the working mom role over the last like 3 years, and she's been able to see that side of me. So I really appreciate that my little girl
Yeah.
is watching me do all of these things, and that is what she'll see and take with her. And there was also the years I was home and I was just the mom, but to watch, she's been able to watch me go into back to work and create new things. And she's at an age now where she's able to really understand it. And I think it's so cool when they start to like understand
Yeah.
us and we understand them. And so I can't wait till she's a teenager and we can talk about all this.
It's beautiful. It's really a
Yeah.
lovely process.
I wanted to trail back a little bit to, you were talking about how scared you were to
Mhm.
talk. I'm curious what those fears were, and like, do you have any fears that come up now since you're just launching your company? Are there any things that are just like feel like you clench your throat because you're still scared? Or
The fears were um disrupting the life that my kids expected to have. That was the fear, was they expected to be in a household with two parents, um now my youngest has to go back and forth, and that's challenging, and so I think the fear is really that dynamic. Is that causing harm? I think it's building character. We talk about it a lot. In terms of my business and building that, I mean, if I'm totally honest, of course, I worry about balancing it. I worry about being there in the way that I was able to be there before. Um, and so that's always a challenge, when you're doing any kind of work outside of the home, but particularly
Yeah.
when you're trying to build a business. Um, it's hard. There's always sacrifices that have to be made. And again, I think it's important, just like for you, Romy, seeing having your daughter see that. But there's sacrifices, there's just like, I'm going away this coming up, and I'm missing my daughter's homecoming, and I'm really sad. Like, I'm not there to take pictures, and it is what it is. It's hard to, there's always going to be something that isn't perfect, but that's life, and it's important to teach kids that life is that way, to teach them resilience and understanding and grit and all those things that will help to make them successful adults.
how do you stay in your effort momentum? How do you keep moving forward? Because I feel like that's something really important for like moms that have gotten to that moment. Sometimes I think the fear can make them retrieve back. So how do you keep moving forward?
So I have a little ritual that I do. I don't do it every day. I should do it every day, but I try to do it when I'm working on something like big strategic wise. Is I have a little um, candle that my business partner got me. It's a burning the patriarchy candle, and so I just take a moment before I start my workday and I light it, and I just think about how lost I felt, and how lonely, um and how what a struggle it was for me in moments of my journey. And I think about other women who are going through that, and other couples who are experiencing that discord in their relationships. And I remember that I'm doing this for them. I'm doing this for the younger version of me who didn't have that support. And so I try to center that as part of my kind of work ritual.
That's amazing. I haven't actually, no one has specifically talked about doing a ritual. Like, that's a really amazing thing to do something like that. I might have to steal something
I
similar
highly
to that.
recommend it.
Yeah, because like, we do journaling, like, I mean, and I'll
Mhm.
admit I'm not amazing at it either, but like I'm trying to do those things to just keep me moving forward, and that's an amazing one to do, like just really keeping in mind the reason why you're doing what you're doing. And I think even just
Mhm.
like sitting down and asking ourselves that question each time we even start a podcast is like probably a really good ritual to just like keep that focus moving forward. So that's really beautiful.
Thank
It's
you.
really
I
beautiful.
mean, it's meaningful to me, and the no need to steal it. It is a gift to you and whoever else it's helpful to. But find your own thing um, that works for you. I'm also like, I would love to be like good at meditating, and I'm just not. It's helpful for me because I do like to be in service to people.
Mhm, mhm.
It's helpful for me to center that
Yeah,
drive
yeah,
um in my process.
yeah,
For any women that are, or any moms, that are in this situation, like, what is your advice to them when they find themselves in that place that you found yourself? What is your advice for them to get to their effort moment, or if they're going through it, what would you say to them?
My advice that I always give to new moms who are struggling, or to anyone who's struggling, is tap into your community. Like, find
Mm,
your support network, find your people. Join a new moms group. If you attend a church, find people in that. Reach out
yeah,
to old college friends who are also having babies at the same time. But we cannot do this alone. We are
yeah,
a humans need each other, and we
yes,
need to belong, and we do so much of this in isolation. So my advice is always to find community first.
yes,
That's number one. Number two would be to get clarity on what you need, and try not to be afraid to speak that out loud to your partner, or in whatever situation that um, you're in, that is causing you discomfort. Is really try to communicate. And if you feel uncomfortable doing that, again, seek support. If you can, if you can afford therapy, if you can afford
mhm,
coaching, there are a lot of resources that are accessible. So seek those out.
yeah. That seems to be the common theme
it
throughout,
is.
yeah, like community, and that we can't do this alone, and it really does take a village. Like it's just it just can't. It's unfortunate that here in the United States it's not built to support mothers to be able to, and fathers to be able to stay at home and really provide the love and support that they should with their little kids, and that they're
Yeah.
expected to go back to work after like what, 3 months, like that's ridiculous,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's unfortunate, but I'm glad that you said that, because I really hope that people that are listening that are feeling isolated or feeling alone do reach out. I know for me, after like 8 months and during the pandemic, I was like, I'm going crazy. I need to find something. And I joined a mom group, and they were like my savior. And even though I see them virtually, I talk to them every week, and they are the most amazing. And it just fills my heart. Like it
Yeah.
filled something that was missing as me as a mom now. So it is so important for your mental health, for everything. So thank you for
Yeah.
saying that.
Yeah. Yeah. It is truly important.
I think that it's also why we provided this space, is to have moms be able to share
Yeah.
where those things are.
Yeah.
Like, let's bring moms on, because so many people don't know
Mhm.
that these things exist or that they're available out there. And so we need spaces that are saying, okay, there's these apps, there's these places, there's this like, here's information. And I love that we're able to do that. That's what I love about doing this, is that now you have offered a service to a mom that maybe didn't know that exists, and we get to say, like, here you go. If you're tuning in, if you're driving in your car and you're alone and you don't know and you needed something like this, like, it's sometimes you don't even know where to start.
we like to put up like your business, like business link, business website, your Instagram, if you want to provide that for us. So we'll put it up on here so people can access it, and we'll also put it in our podcast description.
Yeah, I mean, we're at Tend Task everywhere on Instagram, Twitter,
Okay.
tendtask.com.
Okay.
Pretty easy to find. You can also search that in the App Store if you're interested in downloading the app.
Okay. And you said it was for free, yeah?
There are links on the website to be able to do that as well.
Okay.
It's all up on the website. So it's, we really call it a 2-part system. So they work best in together, but you can use them in any way that works for you. If you already have a system that you love, like you use a different app, we'll absolutely coach you to use that to its best, effectiveness. So we're all about like unique and personalized solutions for you and your family.
Okay. Amazing.
Awesome.
That's awesome. Well, Felicia, thank you so much for being on here and sharing your story. It was really incredible and empowering to see that you just took matters into your own hands and created an app to solve
Yep.
the problem that you had in your marriage.
Thank you. Thank you both. It's just been a pleasure to have this conversation with you and to talk about like the motherhood journey. It's so special to share stories.
It
What you're
really
doing is
is.
really amazing.
Thank
Oh,
you.
thank
Thank you for
you.
saying that. That means a lot. Yeah. And there really is like a connection that's created. Like once you become a mom, it's like we're just all connected, It's crazy. Like I say, every time I see moms walking down the street, I'm like, I see you. I see you. Like we are together in this.
Yep. Yep.
So well, thank you
For
so,
sure.
so much, Felicia.
Just F it.